Welcome to the 2020 VocTech Showcase. I don't think anyone will disagree with me when I say it's been a bit of a year, and the US election is now continuing the 2020 theme. But when times are bad, that's when we see just how ingenious humans are, and just how much we can and do pull together. I'm thrilled that you're able to join us this morning to celebrate VocTech, and to look to a future where technology supports fair access and better learner outcomes for all. We know that our normal VocTech Showcase is an opportunity to hear about exciting technology, innovative deployment and ways that people have overcome challenges, with the chance to meet new people, learn new things and be inspired by the art of the practically possible. We wanted to capture as much of our Wednesday evening event buzz in our Wednesday morning online celebration, and use the opportunity to change things a little. So, we've got a mixture of discussion, networking and engagement, as well as a chance to hear about some great vocational technology. Before I hand over to the UFI Chair, Tom Wilson, in the spirit of our community networking, we're going to have a quick Who's in the Room session. We'll break off into little groups where you'll get the chance to meet some other attendees and have a bit of chat and networking before we come back together. VocTech has never been more important, and it will take all of our collective expertise to make a VocTech supported and supporting system happen in a way that works. So, on that note, it's time to meet your fellow attendees. And as I always say when we get to meet in person, let's all make at least one new exciting contact. We'll be spending our morning thinking about the solution that VocTech provides to the challenges that lie ahead and that we currently face. So as a starter for 10, where do you see the greatest potential for positive VocTech impact? Allocation is random, so make the most of the intervention of the fates, and off we go. Welcome back. Hopefully, everyone has met at least one new person in the VocTech community, and you're all ready for a morning of celebration and optimism. Now I'm going to hand to Tom, our chair, to set us up for a lively morning.
So, welcome to the 2020 VocTech Showcase. And forgive me if I'm reading from a script. I know that's slightly disconcerting. It's much better to look at the camera. But in my old age, I'm less good at memorizing long scripts. But it's not that long, I promise you. Well, to echo what Rebecca earlier said, what a strange year it's been. VocTech has certainly shot into prominence. There's been more interest in the last 6 months than our previous 6 years. But at what cost in terms of lives lost and uncertainty and anxiety about the future? How much of this newfound interest in VocTech will stick? And in these uncertain times, it's good, therefore, to reflect on the positive, the things that we know do work and that we can do as UFI to help support and protect us for the future. UFI is an expert on vocational technology for vocational skills. So when COVID struck, we were able to act fast. We tore up our normal plans and within 6 weeks launched a completely new set of funding calls. Alongside our grant funding for new VocTech ideas and our support for leading employers, we've built new partnerships with the entire FE sector, including private providers, charities, and local authority education providers. We've spent 2020 so far deploying our expertise and support in the best way possible, working with our partners and our grant-funded project family. At the same time, we've demonstrated that investing in VocTech makes commercial sense by putting our money where our mouth is and building our own successful investment portfolio. And above all, we've responded to the tsunami of new interest in VocTech by sharing our expertise and insight, not least through our well-attended webinars aimed at anyone interested in learning what works. But we've also helped government, employers, training providers, communities, all respond to the pandemic in different ways. We know how important training, skills and learning are. We all know how vital it is that every adult has the chance to access training and learning, whatever their circumstances, their sector or their skill level. And building the post-COVID economy must mean building far more opportunities for adults to gain new skills. At UFI, we've always worked hard to support the development and deployment of good quality, high impact technology. We've always worked hard to help those who need help most. in sectors and areas not usually seen as of high importance for mainstream support or even for government. Here's an example. We all know about LinkedIn, but you don't find many delivery drivers developing their career and skills there. So that's why UFI supported Sonic Jobs. Sonic Jobs helps communities recruit blue-collar workers, such as delivery drivers, via their mobile app and chatbot, cutting out the need for complex CV writing and making it much easier for drivers to demonstrate their skills and experience. They are the often ignored workers upon whom our new economy depends. The pandemic has shown that our focus on skills and industries that underpin the UK and the vital people that work in them was absolutely the right focus. Before the pandemic, some questioned whether it was right to focus on skills in the social care sector. Few would question that now. And again, UFI is supporting several projects helping to build the skills of social care workers. It's not just the post-COVID economy we should be thinking about, it's the post-COVID education system. This crisis has shown just how much more help is needed for us with the whole FE sector, not just the universities, which get all the media attention. Colleges and other providers need funding and expert support to offer high quality VocTech too. The Prime Minister, interestingly, recently made a welcoming commitment to rebuilding the whole FE sector. That must include access, funding and support, including high quality broadband for students and staff, the key workers of tomorrow. The way forward is not clear, not for the UK and not for the rest of the world. We're feeling our way and testing out what works and what doesn't work. But what is blindingly obvious is the need for better systems and funding to support better technology. That is more than just better broadband. It means a new education and skills and training system. Perhaps the UK should follow the lead set by Estonia and give every citizen the legal right to digital access. We've seen a huge response to the crisis, and it's been a privilege to be able to help. Since launching our new COVID support programme, we've helped more than 30 organisations directly and helped many more indirectly through our funding partnerships. We will continue to help all our partners navigate today's undoubtedly difficult circumstances. Today, in our completely redesigned annual showcase event, it's enormously heartwarming to take stock and review what we've achieved, what we've all achieved, and celebrate all our success. And finally, as chair, I would like to thank all my fellow trustees and all the UFI staff, so ably led by Rebecca, for the fantastic, incredible way that they've worked so hard this year, way beyond what any reasonable employer could expect. Because they, like you, are committed to helping everyone access high quality vocational technology for all our sakes. So thanks for listening. And now let's move on to the people who really know what they're talking about.
Thank you, Tom. That's great. 2020 may not seem like it's offered much in the way of hope, but today we want to focus on the future and celebrate what has been achieved during a very difficult time and what we can take from this for the future. We've reflected on our strategy, and it's clear that our focus is needed now more than ever. And as we work through the challenges presented by COVID, Brexit and the changing world of work, we must work together to ensure that the UK is stronger and better equipped to deal with the challenge in the future. Skills will always be the foundation for economic recovery, and the importance of technology cannot be overstated. But it is not a simple fix. It is not simply a matter of exchanging an existing system for online provision. This is about focusing on what we need as a country and how we create the best opportunities for individuals. There has been much talk about levelling up, building back better, and the challenge of regional disparity. Rethinking the way people are able to access skills and the tools and infrastructure we use to support that is an essential part of our future planning. We've been calling for a revolution in education for a while, and there are many of us calling for a radical new strategy for lifetime reskilling and adult vocational education. It is vital that technology is at the forefront of this thinking. This is not about online learning that is seen as a backup to the classroom, but as an ongoing integrated part of the future of adult vocational skills. where planning recognises the importance of a tech-enabled and integrated system, and that means everything: infrastructure, assessment and awarding, teacher and trainer training, and a long-term commitment to a valued future for adult vocational skills. Now is the time for us to work together. We are all calling for the same thing: a better adult vocational system. And the only way that this can be achieved is through technology, properly used, properly deployed, and focused on adults and vocational skills. Most of you will know that we took a decision in March to move away from our planned programme of grant activity. We worked hard to support our community as we all headed into lockdown, recognising the potentially catastrophic impact that the sudden removal of face-to-face training could have, and the critical need to support the uptake and deployment of VocTech as the country went into an extended period of lockdown. It has been a privilege to work with all of our grant portfolio, and in a time of great difficulty, I'm pleased that we've been able to offer positive support both through our grant funding and our project team. As well as offering a global pandemic, 2020 has also been an exciting year for VocTech investments, with the UFI Ventures portfolio really expanding and presenting an exciting opportunity for us to support the VocTech sector in a different way. It's been important for us to continue to actively invest in vocational technology over the last few months, in support of our absolute belief that VocTech will form the foundation of future vocational skills delivery. So, what can we learn from the work we have funded and the impact that we have had? We've seen amazing things from our projects in a time of great need, including transformation at Lancaster and Morecambe College, support for frontline workers through the COPS project, and over 1 million learners supported by the Prince's Trust. The organisations we've invested in have shown their strength in this time of need, with Learnably supporting furloughed workers and the provision of learning across the workforce accelerated by Kinderly and Learning Labs. Louise has been looking at the work of the UFI family, and we thought it would be good to share a few highlights before we head into our panel discussions to help inspire your thinking about a VocTech-enabled future. So I'm going to hand over to Louise for a bit of real-world inspiration.
Thanks, Rebecca. It's really hard to choose where to start and which projects and ventures to mention. This time last year, our focus was very much on what more we could do to bang the drum for VocTech. We knew VocTech worked, and we wanted others to know about it. Then lockdown happened, and almost overnight the need for new ways of developing, delivering, supporting and assessing learning became crystal clear. Rebecca and Tom have touched on the changes we made in 2020 in light of the pandemic. We did 4 things. We set up 2 grant funds to support independent trainers and FE colleges deal with the immediate impact of lockdown. The first funds were offered within 4 weeks of lockdown starting. In total, 34 organisations have transformed provision as a result of UFI support. We have funded projects with frontline workers to make sure they knew how to protect themselves and others. Heather, at Action for People, was first off the blocks and managed really quickly to get amazing training to self-employed care workers in the thick of the first wave. Other projects supported engineering apprentices, LGV drivers, electricians and the logistics sector spread right across the UK, making sure people in vital industries continued to have opportunities to develop their skills. Our FE college projects upgraded their digital provision so that learners could continue to engage and so that teachers and trainers had the chance to rapidly develop their skills to meet the immediate needs. We supported 10 FE colleges, from practical skills and rural skills at Kingston Moorwood College to food production at West London College. In addition, we quickly launched a webinar series designed to provide practical support to help trainers move to online delivery. Over 1,500 people joined our how-to webinars in the immediate weeks following lockdown. We worked with sector bodies, AOC, AELP, HOLEX and the GTA to help their members to incorporate digital technology. You can join them this afternoon to hear what lessons can be drawn from this work. We'll pop a link in the chat with all the details so you can sign up. You'll remember that our VocTech seed call was in progress. We thought long and hard about whether we should continue, and I'm so glad we did. The VocTech Seed 2020 cohort is now underway, so we're really pleased to be welcoming them to the UFI project family today, even if we can't do it with canapes, beers and bright lights. And through all of this, we continued to support the fabulous teams working in our project and ventures portfolio as they plotted a path to the new normal. Our ventures portfolio has grown. We invest in seed stage companies with the potential to advance our mission and demonstrate that attractive returns can be made in VocTech. We now have 5 companies in our portfolio and are working towards a goal of 20 investee organisations. So, what are my takeaways from 2020? What have been the successes and what have we learnt from all of this that we can use in the future? UFI has a particular focus on learners who are not well served by mainstream provision. So my first reflection is we've seen some brilliant examples of how VocTech can have an impact in breaking down barriers, improving access and outcomes for learners. Code Your Future is a voluntary initiative which teaches refugees and locally born disadvantaged people to code for free. It supports their soft skills development and then helps them to get jobs in the sector. With UFI support, Code Your Future have developed and tested a learning platform to extend and sustain their operation as it grows from London into other cities and regions. We have also supported Beam to develop and scale their online crowdfunding platform to open up access to new vocational learning opportunities for people who are either homeless or at risk of homelessness. The team at Career Matters are passionate about making a difference for care leavers. UFI supported their UFI supported project aims to connect care leavers and employers to improve vocational outcomes and opportunities. With our help, the team are testing a new platform which offers guided, personalised layers of support. It's been really great to see how the Open University, in collaboration with the Royal National College for the Blind, have developed their Open Networking Lab platform to support blind and visually impaired people to gain better access to jobs in computer networking. And we've been excited to work with the City of Glasgow College to develop and test the first app specifically designed to help adults improve their literacy with phonics. This year, we are continually reminded that tech alone won't save us. At UFI, we don't advocate for tech-only solutions for vocational learning. We recognise the need for a blended approach, identifying the best mix of human and tech to suit. I think many of us found results days totally depressing. It was a time when technology could have been part of a considered solution that ensured fairness and transparency during challenging times. Great tech, thoughtfully considered and well developed, delivers great results and has the potential to tackle some of the critical skills facing the UK. Here's an example. BodySwaps is developing a virtual reality learning platform and content library offered as a service to businesses. It uses VR and AI to provide soft skill training, similar in performance to expert coaching and role-playing, but close to the cost and scalability of e-learning. West Scotland College are exploring how VocTech can help develop a culture of innovation in the engineering sector by creating a digital playbook which enables learners to develop the meta skills that underpin a creative mindset. In an industry that's been rapidly disrupted by digital technology, it's really interesting to see how technology can help solve the resulting skills challenges. Our friends at South West College in Northern Ireland have explored how to support trainee mechanics to learn new procedures using VR and games, blended with the support of their tutors. And it's been exciting to see the progress made by Pembrokeshire College with their Cognify app. This is a really useful tool that uses text to voice and vice versa to support feedback and interaction between teachers and learners. Those with learning difficulties face multiple challenges in being able to upskill and prosper in the new digital world, and thoughtfully considered VocTech can really help. For example, Digital Unite's specialist online learning platform, blended with their successful Digital Champions model, is supporting unemployed people with disabilities who can work and want to work into jobs. We work in a community of committed professionals who will go the extra mile for their learners. This is Katie Denning from Cumbria. Katie worked in the retail and leisure sectors before coronavirus lockdown, and then used her time to retrain and pass her level 2 maths qualifications so that she could study to become a nurse. UFI funding enabled PHX training to shift more of their training provision online at the start of lockdown, helping Katie and many others like her. VocTech really does have an impact. Here's another example. The Marine and Sea Cadets Society launched Waypoint in June. The portal kept cadets engaged and exploring pathways to future marine-based careers over lockdown while outdoor activities were halted. They've seen a massive uptake with 27,000 users. Fashion Enter have developed Fashion Flyers. This is an interactive resource within a blended learning programme designed to help bring alive important skills and safety training based on learner understanding of how to set up and use industrial sewing machines. We were really pleased the team got recognition on the BBC for the work they have done in the pandemic to make scrubs for the NHS. It looks like the training is being put to really good use. And through our UFI ventures, over 3 million has been invested by UFI and co-investors in companies which are mission aligned with the potential to deliver commercial returns. We have always had a goal to achieve long-term impact by encouraging commercial investment in VocTech, and it is brilliant to see such exciting ventures in our portfolio. Learnably, for example, encourages self-directed learning by empowering employees with personal learning budgets and a personal development plan. It guides them to the resources they want based on what they want and how they want to learn. This personalised approach leads to industry-leading levels of engagement and minimises waste of L&D budgets. This year, the need for a practical, helpful and friendly VocTech community became remarkably clear. And I'd like to thank everyone in the whole UFI team and the organisations we work with for engaging so fully in the UFI VocTech community. As a result, there are far too many examples of sharing and collaboration to mention, but a few highlights for me have been CTC Scotland, in Scotland, working with one of our past projects, Cuppa Care, to get high-quality training to care workers on the ground in Dumfries and Galloway, and the National Youth Agency working with one of our past projects, Agilia, to pilot a collaborative learning space for the UK youth work sector. The folks at Ecom Scotland, Applio and Pembrokeshire College took time out to share with our project network their innovative strategies and creative solutions for user testing in a pandemic. Our projects within the criminal justice system have come together with the Ministry of Justice to share their experience of helping to bring digital training to offenders who have been increasingly isolated during the crisis. There's a special session with these on Friday at 10:30, which you can listen to. We'll pop the link in the chat and you can sign up for that. And Colleges Wales have inspired Effie with their Voc Talks and have contributed to a brilliant VocTech podcast where they can talk about their experience of delivering bilingual content online. Again, we'll pop a link in the chat and you can have a listen. We'll send these links out after the showcase as well, so you can follow up. As you can see, there has been such brilliant work this year, supported by our equally brilliant UFI team. All of this is captured in our annual UFI directory, which is available now. Again, we've popped a link in the chat. As in previous years, you can read about the work we've funded and make connections. So what do I take forward from this year? I think if I had to choose a few words to describe what I've seen in 2020, they would be passion, resilience, and determination. Whatever the world has thrown at them, the organisations we've supported and the UFI team have found ingenious ways to keep moving forward with the ideas they are passionate about. So now we can hear a bit more from the organisations we supported, and I'm going to hand back to Rebecca.
Thank you, Louise. We have such a brilliant project and venture family, and the achievements over the past year have been incredible in really difficult times. So, on to our panel discussions, focused on the practical use of VocTech. We have got some great guests on our panels, and I'm looking forward to a really lively discussion, driven by some questions from you. The panels will take place in one of 3 breakout rooms, and we'd like you to select which one you'd like to attend. To do this, please add the number of your preferred group to your screen name, and the numbers for each session are on screen now. So, if you wanted to go to group 1, please add a 1 to the beginning of your name. If you're undecided, don't panic. We will allocate you to a session. Panel 1, covering insight into remote and digital assessment. Panel 2, the importance of user-centric design. And Panel 3, the potential of VocTech to transform and positively impact at scale. Your input is always hugely important to us, so we will be using the output of these sessions to inform our future thinking, and we will also be producing a brief overview that draws together the VocTech community opinion. We won't be making a report back when we convene, as we're hoping for some really interesting and engaging sessions, and we want to capture as much detail as possible. You will be automatically returned to the main session once the panels are complete, and we'll be sharing the output with all attendees. Welcome back. So that was a practical application, and there were some really interesting discussions. I'm really pleased to see that everyone's making so many connections. We've created a quick LinkedIn group and the links in the chat. So that's a good way to connect too. But we're now going to be thinking about how VocTech can help with the challenges that are facing us. We've got 3 exciting lightning talks coming up, looking at how technology can rise to the vocational skills challenge. We've asked the experts, and they're going to be exploring the question from 3 different perspectives. So we'll be hearing from our speakers and then breaking into small chat groups so we can explore their provocations. In something of a coup, we've managed to make this an Anthony exclusive. So our first speaker is Anthony Bravo. And Anthony is the principal of Basingstoke College of Technology, and he's passionate about providing an outstanding learning experience for all learners. And we are lucky enough to have Anthony as one of the UFI trustees.
Thank you. When I started thinking about this, first of all, it was talking about vocational skills in a post-coronavirus world. And having just done my latest lockdown plans, I don't feel very post-coronavirus. I feel we're right in the very middle of it. And so really, what have we learned, or what were the main challenges the last time round? And what challenges are we seeing this time round? So one of the first things we realised was there were gaps in what the teachers' learning and skills were. And this was about them knowing what was available and knowing how to actually use it. And I have to say that this manifests itself in the confidence of the organisation to actually rise to these challenges. And certainly what we have found, the culture of an organisation, its attitude to risk, to failure and to innovation makes a real difference to how willing teachers are to engage and to learn and to try and take these things on. So overcoming those gaps is the first thing, and you need to have the right culture to help you do that. Clearly, a lot of people also discovered this digital divide. This digital divide wasn't just a case of when students couldn't have access to equipment because their parents were using it. We've actually realised that it actually existed even with staff themselves, especially now we're going into a hybrid version of students being in college and students being working from home. The challenge there is we've only got so many laptops and technical devices, and we can't share them amongst both sides. So that digital divide is coming up in more and more different ways. Also, the way the whole college infrastructure was able to connect to 2,000 students all in one go, that proved to be a bit of a challenge, and most organisations have now worked out how to do that. We as a college are a GFE college. That means we are vocational. And what we find is that for practical lessons, such as hair, barbering, makeup, it was really difficult to actually practice and build the skills they needed in a completely remote scenario. And that did present us with some real issues last time. And similarly, the learners having access to the software they use in college for things like games, design, media and art, they didn't all have it on their machines at home. So there were a number of challenges we faced last time round. So moving forward though, and thinking about what can VocTech actually do for us, I would say it could actually do practically anything. So that means that what we can do is we can meet the needs of what learners want. But what needs to be remembered is that the teacher can't be replaced. And if you can move the slide on, that'd be great. The teacher can't be replaced in the sense that VocTech can do almost anything. But one of the things we saw in the last lockdown was the approach of DfE, Ofqual and awarding bodies, where they were really hanging on to the old-fashioned way of doing exams in terms of people sitting up. And the way we're seeing right now of trying to fit all the exams in this week in a COVID situation. Whereas what was really tragic last time round was students were told right from the outset, actually, all the work you're going to be doing online won't count towards your assessment at all. And I think that that was a real mistake which was made, a real mistake and real missed opportunity, devaluing all the digital work which was going on. At our college, we regard digital as the third functional skill. And we know the best way to prepare learners for the future is to make sure that they can use the cloud, they can collaborate on documents, they can appear on camera and communicate effectively, and things like that, and making sure they understand the importance of critical thinking. So digital can underpin all of those things. And similarly, it can be used in simulation. And an example of that would be IGVS or Electude in automotive, where learners can actually have a real example of what's going on and practice using the online stuff. However, we do need to think about what needs to change. And the most obvious thing is the development of human skills. And to do that, one of the key things which needs to happen is there needs to be a skills audit, an e-skills audit or a VocTech audit, knowing where people are, knowing what they aspire to, and knowing how they're going to get there. And you need to actually invest some time and energy in doing that. You need to have an acceptance that classroom provision is absolute king. And that needs to be sure that that is the absolute priority. And you're using that for developing the teamwork, the empathy, the collaboration, things like that, because you can use the remote learning for the theory, but you must use the classroom time absolutely as your most unmissable vital time. I would also agree and expect there needs to be a clearer national strategy across the sector and across the education sector, because it's really clear that things are all going at a different rate. I would mention also the demonstrator schools and colleges programme that needs to be continued and developed. You've heard me natter on about the awarding bodies. There needs to be a change in that, because that won't work effectively going forward. And with staff confidence, we need to be auditing, training and identifying champions and getting these people to help our other staff to develop. And finally, you need to put some money aside for it. It won't save you money doing this, but it will end up meaning that what you're doing is more effective than what you're currently doing. So I think that was about 4 minutes. I'm not exactly sure, but I hope that really sums up what the challenges are, what it can do, and what things need to change.
Thank you, Anthony. That's a really great start. And I love your point that VocTech can do practically anything, but we need to to think about how we do it and what we do. That's great. Thank you. Next, we're going to move to Anthony Impe. Anthony's a serial entrepreneur and experienced business leader, and he's recently been appointed as the CEO of Be the Business. And he's also the chair of the Department for Education's Apprenticeship Stakeholder Board. So, hello, Anthony, and thank you for joining us this morning and giving us your view from a business perspective.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone. Really pleased to be here on this beautiful morning, even as America goes into meltdown. Exciting times indeed. I'd like to set out why I believe that the UK is having its technology moment when we can accelerate the rate of digital adoption by small businesses across the country. I myself and the team at Be the Business have been working recently with McKinsey, and we published a paper that really looked at the challenges that small businesses had with engaging and adopting technology, and it highlighted some interesting insights. The big challenge is that not only are small businesses less likely to adopt technology than larger firms, but they are also significantly less likely to do so than their European counterparts. Just as an example, while 62% of large UK firms and 68% of large German firms use CRM, the gap is much larger amongst small businesses, where just a quarter of UK businesses use CRM compared to nearly 40% of small German firms. So there's some big challenges in small businesses using and adopting technology in order to drive the performance and productivity of their organization. Now, the good news is that, in fact, the impact of the pandemic and some of the very tough conditions that small businesses have been facing has forced many small businesses to change their mindset and their approach to technology. And we've seen some massive changes in the number of organizations that adopt technology. And this is not just the Zoom boom that we are all familiar with, and in fact supporting now as I in fact speak. But actually small businesses have been using tech to during the last 8 months to engage customers, use their data and manage their processes. Our research found that 3 out of 10 small businesses have started using virtual collaboration software in the last few months, and a quarter started to use cloud-based back office software. And in fact, 2/3 of small businesses said that technology can improve their business performance, and over half have expressed a willingness to invest in technology post-COVID. So this new openness presents a huge opportunity, a once-in-a-generation opportunity, in fact, to incentivize tech adoption and digital readiness amongst small businesses and change this gap that we see currently, where small businesses are just not using technology enough. Now, our research found that, in fact, there are some significant barriers that are still stopping small businesses adopt technology. These include small businesses, more than half of small businesses finding that technology that they have previously adopted not being a success and not adding value to their organizations. Other businesses very concerned about the disruption that introducing new technology would involve, and others finding that there was real reluctance amongst their team to use new technology. And I think it's this challenge around people and employee engagement that I would like to bring to this community here to consider how we address that, because I think addressing people's attitude to technology is fundamentally important to engaging more small businesses with technology. There are a range of initiatives underway, both public and private, to help employees become more comfortable with technology. they're certainly not anywhere near enough, but work has begun in this space. But I think the big gap is at management level, where leaders of small businesses need to develop their skills to implement technology, both at a strategic level so that they can understand the value that technology can have to their organization and how it can help them evolve and develop their business models at these times of massive uncertainty and rapid change. They also need to understand how technology can operationally impact their business and how they can implement technology in their organizations. And finally, they need help to understand how to continually develop the technology in their business so that they can continually respond to the challenges that they face in the markets that they operate in. So I think that's where I believe VocTech can add a real benefit. And for those that are interested in reading more about the McKinsey work, the work that we did with McKinsey, please go to the bethebusiness.com website /research or contact me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. I think it's that point about people and employee engagement is a really important one, and it's actually something we have seen reflected in lots of different parts of the VocTech community, that actual helping people feel confident in taking on technologies and utilising them the importance of that can't be understated, and we saw it a lot with the blended learning programme we did, and helping people feel confident in a training and teaching environment, with thinking about what tools to use. So next we have our final Anthony of the morning. Anthony Painter, and Anthony's the Chief Research and Impact Officer at the RSA, leading the RSA's Research and Impact team, and he's also an FE Governor and part of the UFI family through the Cities of Learning. So lovely to have you with us, Anthony, and great to see you.
Great to be here, Rebecca, and good to see you all. Why have one Anthony when you can have three, of course? Three sort of challenges and barriers, three sort of hopefully insights, and then maybe a bit of thinking about how we move forward. So in terms of the barriers and challenges, most immediate to most, in most of the emergency situation, of course, there is the situation with widening redundancies, unemployment, and the knock-on effects that is going to have to everybody, near the edges or at the edges of the labour market. We do a lot of work on the future of work and economic insecurity, and the sort of conclusion that we're starting to come through when you look at COVID and the impact of automation together. We've seen changes that are a sort of 5-year acceleration in 5 months. And this obviously means that workers are going to struggle to adapt at the pace that they'll need to in order to secure opportunities for themselves going forward. So there is an interaction already between sort of COVID and automation. And we see this in the sort of retail sector, hospitality, distribution, warehousing, postal services, so on and so forth. So a big challenge there. A challenge about how we reach to a better future of work. Technology is a disruptor normally at this sort of pace, and we don't sort of buy into the sort of apocalyptic predictions about technology. But people and places do need to have an opportunity to adapt, and that's a huge challenge. In the best of times, it's going to be a more urgent challenge in what is an economic emergency in the context of pandemic. And then the third challenge is the ongoing challenges of the skills and work system of the UK, which is fragmented, opaque, difficult to understand, difficult to access and navigate for learners of many different types, particularly those who are disadvantaged, but not only that as well. And its fragmentation is enormously challenging. So we've got COVID, we've got ongoing sort of technological change and the future of work, and then we've got a very sort of fragmented system and the impacts that has on learners. But this morning we have to be a bit optimistic given global events, and let's inject a bit of optimism. I think there are three things that we can look to that will help navigate these challenges. Firstly, in the context of COVID, there was an enormous community surge. And I've heard many examples in the workshops and talks this morning in the skill sector itself, where the community, and by community, I'm thinking in wide terms, public services, business, community groups, and so on, where we have collectively responded to the challenge. So I think there is a willingness and desire to make things better and lean into these challenges, and we see this in sort of localities as well as sort of national and international level. So a source of hope, I think, is the sort of community surge. The second source of hope is, thinking about this sort of fragmented and opaque systems, we can look in various different contexts and see where basically employers, FE, private skills providers, communities have been brought together quite effectively. We see this in overseas examples in Singapore, in Switzerland, in Shanghai, and many other places. And we see it in our own context as well. Glasgow has brought together a whole sort of family of employers and skills providers. So we know it can be done. And if you do it in a way that you provide a sort of sense of movement, a sense of importance around learning and skills, that you have sort of transparent communication of what opportunities to learn there are and where they might lead. You make sure there are no dead ends for learners, and that localities come together and learn and innovate together, and that learning and innovation is then spread. We can see actually how you can bring systems together in a way that can impact better futures for learners, for workers, so on and so forth. So that's the second source of hope. And the third source of hope, I think, is vocational technology, that it has the potential to not just provide new ways of accessing learning, and that's critically important, but to help bring these different players together, particularly in localities. So it can bring different types of providers, those involved in the skills and work system together, hopefully in a way that can help learners navigate the system. As Rebecca mentioned, we've got our own citizen learning program, which is looking to do this. And we've got a pilot going on in Plymouth and Brighton. And what's been interesting is they've managed to pull together the community very effectively. And the early signs are that does have an impact. And I have to attach a health warning to all this. We are still counting the votes of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia style here. But the early signs are that when you provide vocational technology that links and draws communities together, when you cohere them around things like digital badges and new pathways, that learners, one, can get a sense of recognition for their skills that might not have previously been recognized. They try to acquire new skills as a result, so it aids their motivation. And if you provide a clear sort of pathway, a clear destination to opportunity, they're even more willing to engage and feel motivated. So I think there's something very strong in the vocational sector that can help gel together the collective efforts of what's been done, particularly in localities. There is a sense of community surge. There is so much to learn from one another, but we are in an urgent situation and we do have to get to it.
Thank you, Anthony. I think it's the 5-year acceleration in 5 months can't be underestimated, can it? But I love the idea of the technology that supports community and using VocTech as a way of bringing different players together to make something that's greater than the sum, greater than the individual part. So I think there's a really exciting opportunity here, and I think that kind of once in a generation opportunity that Anthony Impe talked about is kind of really, really relevant to that community bringing together piece as well. So there are, as you say, reasons to have hope and optimism despite the pandemic. Thank you. So I think that was some really great food for thought, and so now I'm really looking forward to the next conversation that we can have on the back of those 3 provocations. We're going to break into small chat rooms now for a chance for us all to discuss. They are not going to be recorded, and we're not going to be bringing feedback afterwards, but we are really interested in your views. So each group will have a member of the UFI team to help get the conversation going, and we'll make sure that your views and opinions are captured and used to support the development of our work in 2021. But we wanted this to be a time for an open and frank discussion, so you could feel free and unrecorded. We're going to randomly allocate the rooms, so you won't need to make any difficult decisions this time. We have set them up as smaller groups to give you an opportunity to chat. So please do turn on your cameras and mics, and we'll come back here in 25 minutes. And don't worry, you'll automatically return here afterwards. So have a great session. Welcome back. Hopefully you've met some interesting people and had an engaging exchange of ideas and some fun. We know that we all need to work together to ensure that vocational skills are properly supported and delivered in a post or ongoing pandemic world.
So, looking to the year ahead, how are we going to focus our efforts? With the Open University, we will continue to develop the VocTech proof of concept. VocTech enables teachers and trainers to access and share information about digital resources mapped to their needs. Initially, this will be focused on materials to support English and maths functional skills teaching. VocTech isn't about creating new content, but making it possible to share what is already being used and creating a showcase for that content. Hand in hand with VocTech, we will continue to work with the Association of Learning Technologies to establish a successful community of practice where vocational teaching staff are able to acquire, develop and share the skills they need to thrive. We will continue to build our UFI Ventures portfolio so it's brimming full of exciting early stage companies who support our mission to develop digital technologies that help us all obtain the vocational skills we need to get more of our working lives. We will also take forward our partnership with the Resolution Foundation to provide funding for seed stage ventures that meet our joint objectives and focus on vocational technology solutions. We look forward to being able to share more details about this with you very soon. Later this week, I'll be hosting a webinar about our 2021 grant funding plans. If you'd like to join us, please register. You'll find a link in the chat. We will be running 2 open funding calls for UFI grants, VocTech Seed and a VocTech Challenge Fund. We will open our regular VocTech Seed call in January. This is our test bed where the first spark of an idea can be developed in the supportive funding environment that UFI provides. Grants of up to £50,000 are available for projects that last between 3 to 12 months. This year, we won't be offering any face-to-face workshops for applicants. Instead, we'll be hosting more webinars and developing the format so that there are more opportunities for people to network with others, share ideas, and get feedback from the UFI team. Make sure you're signed up to our community newsletter to keep in the know. There's a link in the chat. Over the last 3 years, we've piloted VocTech Ignite, testing out ways we can support organisations who have applied for VocTech seed funding with a great idea, but who are new to VocTech. In 2021, we'll expand VocTech Ignite, offering a mix of access to expertise and a small amount of funding to support a small group of organisations to develop their VocTech capacity. Our challenge funds provide an opportunity to try things differently and tackle some of the biggest issues in vocational learning with an open mind. This year, the focus of the challenge responds to the concern that the communities who are not well served by mainstream provision, those at the focus and the heart of UFI's core strategy, are now, as a result of the pandemic, probably more at risk than ever from being excluded from education and training. We believe VocTech can be a part of the solution to problems of upskilling the UK workforce and to be able to respond to the challenges of changing business models, greater remote working, remote training, restricted travel and social distancing. This work builds on our past challenge funds, which have looked at how VocTech can help improve delivery of the skills and pathways into employment to meet the needs of the 21st century workforce. Who could have predicted that this focus could have been accelerated to such a degree in 2020? With our challenge funds, we adopt design thinking principles to shape our understanding of the issues and the programme of activity. We've begun our discovery, creating a hypothesis of how UFI might intervene, but this needs an exercise of co-creation. So over the coming months, we will open opportunities for discussion and debate to allow a deep dive into these issues, and we'll bring all our thinking together in April when we aim to publish the fund guidelines and timetable. So we encourage all of you to take part in this conversation. If you'd like to get involved, please let us know by emailing voctechchallenge@ufi.co.uk. And finally, as Tom said, we've always believed we advocate for VocTech by putting our money where our mouth is, through grants, through ventures, and through the very best enrichment support. This year, we will build upon the work we have started with partners, and we will become an even stronger advocate for VocTech, being an active participant in shaping how digital technology can support the transformation of vocational education to deliver the skills we need for work. Rebecca.
Thank you, Louise. I'm always so impressed by the breadth of impact achieved through our funding, whether grant or investment, and that's down to the amazing organisations we work with. You'll know that we have always had a clear mission to support the use of the best technology to meet the needs of adult vocational learners, and a very clear belief that our role was to ensure that this technology supported those not traditionally celebrated or prioritised within the mainstream. We've always been very careful and deliberate about this, recognising that there are different sectors, demographics and geographies, and even skill levels and types of provider who all fit our definition and intended focus. 2020 has seen an enormous shift in people's perception of the things that we have always held dear to our heart. That vocational skills are the lifeblood of our economy and way of life, and that skills, training and learning are an essential part of adult life, and that most people will need to retrain and reskill at one or more points as an adult, and that we need people to retrain and reskill to meet our economic targets, and that the only way we can deliver better skills, better learner outcomes and a parity of opportunity is through planned, thoughtful and proper use of technology. We know VocTech works, and we also know that it is not a replacement for the human. Technology is a tool like any other, and it works best when we understand the blend between technology and human interaction. The risk we face as a nation is that those already not well served are most at risk of being further excluded from education, training and employment. And employers in all sectors are struggling to find a new normal in the face of current restrictions. So how can technology help? Technology supports the dispersed workforce and student body, as well as offering the potential for better on-site learning, teaching and training. Technology is the critical part of the answer to the questions that arise around addressing disparity and future-proofing lifelong skills provision. We must work together to ensure a future that is fair, economically sound and meets the needs of our nation, a future that is built on VocTech. Thank you all for joining us this morning in our celebration of VocTech and of you, the VocTech community. We hope that next year we'll be able to see you in person. But for now, we'll be continuing to celebrate the week of VocTech 2020 style, and we'd love to have your feedback on today's VocTech Showcase and your feedback and thoughts on the wider week.
We'll be sending out a quick questionnaire, and we'd love it if you could complete it and tell us what you think. I hope you've enjoyed today's session as much as I have. Don't forget the session this afternoon on our COVID response partnerships. And you've guessed it, the link's in the chat.
I want to say a huge thank you to the lovely UFI team who have worked so hard, our determined and passionate chair, Tom, and the UFI Board of Trustees who help steer us towards our vision. And finally, I want to thank you, the VocTech community. Together, we are able to make great change. A future built on VocTech. Thank you.
See you soon.
And see you soon.